Hi, I'm Allison Ellis of Floral Artistry. Thank you so much for tuning in. I get a lot of questions on pricing, obviously, and I wanted to clarify a point that I've made the past couple of weeks because it's so important that everybody understands this. So I did a video on like a new rule that we should stop giving stem counts to customers. And then I followed that up the next week with a video on how important it is to keep your recipes in check and to not overfill orders. So I got two questions from people that were along the lines of like, well, how can these two things exist at once? How can we stop doing a stem count but not overfill an order? This is a huge, huge point to clarify, okay? So the stem count that I'm talking about not giving away, that's your recipe. Your stem count is really your recipe in that situation. What I'm talking about is let's not tell customers we're giving them 3 stems of hydrangea, 8 stems of roses, blah, 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 in an arrangement for their wedding, for example. We want to sell a look, not the number of stems. However, when it comes time to actually fill that order, we need to be very clear on the number of stems that go into it. That is because flowers are dollars, right? So we need to make sure we have the right number of dollars represented in flowers in our arrangement. And if we overfill, that's when we start to get into trouble. So along these lines, someone said to me, well, how do you say that you give a proposal with a quote that's itemized, but you also say in your flower math class that you don't do recipes prior to booking an event. So how do you do that? How do you give pricing without doing a recipe? So this is also a great question. Obviously, I've been doing this a long time, so I have some ideas of what it costs to do certain things, right? I know from looking at a picture whether that's something that I would do within my normal range of like a centerpiece minimum, or whether that's going to exceed my minimum range. And so what I do is pretty simple. I have some minimums I know I can work within, or I'll do a little bit of the flower math. I may not give that to the customer, but I'll sit down and say, okay, I think this customer wants an arrangement that has, you know, this much sort of oomph to it, right? So I'm going to need 5 hydrangea instead of 3, and I'm going to need 10 roses instead of 6 roses. And I'll go through and add it up and do the math and come up with a price for what a centerpiece might cost for this particular event. So while I'm not necessarily doing the recipe, like I won't then, that doesn't mean I'm going to do the recipe for every bouquet and everything else. But if there's something that I'm not sure about, yeah, I will sit down and do a little flower math and get an idea of what that actually costs. So for example, the first time I did a floral runner, yeah, like a floral table runner, I wasn't just like, let me eyeball that. You know, I really did figure out like in this many square feet, you know, what's going to happen, and then multiply that times down the table. And then, oh, but this mom really likes gardenias, so we have to add those in too, right? So that's how you do these things. You actually do have to sit and do some thinking, but you don't have to give your thinking away for free to your customers, especially customers that haven't booked yet. So hopefully that clarifies. If there's anybody else, you know, I got the question sort of 2 different ways from 2 different people. So I want to make sure it's crystal clear with you guys what I mean between like the stem count being a recipe that we're giving away versus the stem count being the recipe that we have to stick to so that we're not giving away the farm, as they say. Don't give away the flower farm. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have questions for me, don't hesitate to be in touch. I absolutely love hearing from you guys. Keep doing beautiful work. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.